Is Pakistan going to play a major role in Trump's Gaza peace plan? Pakistan's most powerful military chief ever faces a big test as the United States is now pushing Islamabad to contribute troops to the Gaza stabilisation force. Why is it a major test for Munir? Because if he gives in to Trump's demand, it could spark domestic backlash. Field Marshal Asim Munir is expected to fly to Washington to meet US President Donald Trump in the coming weeks. This will be their third meeting in 6 months and will focus on the Gaza force. Trump's 20-point Gaza plan calls for a force from Muslim nations to oversee a transition period for reconstruction and economic recovery in the war-torn Palestinian territory decimated by over 2 years of Israeli military bombardment. Many countries are wary of the mission to demilitarize Gaza's Islamist militant group Hamas, which could drag them into the conflict and enrage their pro-Palestinian and anti-Israeli populations. But Munir has built a close relationship with Donald Trump. In June, he was rewarded with a White House lunch, the first time a US president hosted Pakistan's army chief alone without civilian officials. So what will Munir do? If he concedes Trump's demand, there's likely to be a backlash domestically and in the region. If he declines, then, knowing how easily offended Trump can be, Pakistan could lose out as it desperately seeks US investment and security assistance. Pakistani Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar said last month that Islamabad could consider contributing troops for peacekeeping, but disarming Hamas is not our job, he said. The concern at home is that the involvement of Pakistani troops in Gaza under a US-backed plan could reignite protests from Pakistan's Islamist parties that are deeply opposed to the United States and Israel. The Islamists have street power to mobilize thousands, and the possibility of violence cannot be ruled out. So why does Trump want Pakistan to play a role in Gaza? A few weeks ago, US President Donald Trump, as we said, unveiled a 20-point comprehensive plan to end the Gaza war. A proposal aimed at halting hostilities, arranging hostage releases, establishing a ceasefire, and laying groundwork for reconstruction. This plan took a bold tack by seeking contributions from Muslim-majority states to help oversee peace and stability in Gaza, and therein lies Pakistan's spotlight. Trump has publicly asserted that leaders from Pakistan, including Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir, fully back the Gaza peace plan and have pledged their support. Trump's engagement with Pakistan, especially with the military leadership, marks a sharp shift from years of uneven ties. In multiple public and private interactions, Trump has showered praise on Asim Munir and other Pakistani leaders. Speaking at a joint press conference alongside Pakistan's Prime Minister, Trump said, "They were right with us from the beginning. Incredible, in fact, they backed this plan 100%. Trump also described Munir's leadership in personal terms, calling him a great guy during bilateral meetings, and has extended repeated invitations for high-level engagement between Washington and Islamabad, including unprecedented gatherings at the White House, where Munir was hosted for a special lunch with the US president. This outreach is deeply symbolic. Rarely has a serving Pakistan Army chief been welcomed in such a manner in Washington, with Trump personally underscoring his interest in forging a strategic partnership and even trade cooperation. So why is the Trump administration, often seen as a transactional America First regime, investing time and political capital in Pakistan, and specifically its military leadership? First, geography matters. Pakistan shares a long and porous border with Iran, a key focus of US concern amid escalating tensions between Tehran and Israel. Pakistan's proximity gives it potential intelligence, logistics, and diplomatic leverage on issues the US wants to monitor closely. Engaging Islamabad could help Washington triangulate more influence over Tehran without direct confrontation and offer back-channel dialogue options that might not exist elsewhere. Second, Islamabad sits at the crossroads of South Asia and the Middle East, a bridge between the Islamic world and Western powers. Trump's own advisors have characterized Pakistan as a potential linchpin between Washington and the broader Muslim world, as the US seeks allies willing to support diplomatic efforts on Gaza and other conflicts. Additionally, strategic competition with China also factors in. Pakistan has historically leaned towards Beijing, hosting billions of dollars of Chinese investment under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. By engaging Pakistan more closely, Trump's team envisions undercutting China's regional influence and recalibrating Islamabad's alignment towards US markets, technologies, and security cooperation. But Asim Munir's expanding role comes with controversy. Inside Pakistan, critics say that increased engagement with Washington, especially with the military at the forefront, undermines civilian voices. At home, anti-US sentiments and pro-Palestinian solidarity run deep, meaning Pakistan's commitment to a plan perceived as aligning with Western interests could spur public backlash. Internationally, while Trump frames Munir as a partner for peace, there is complexity involved. Munir has sought to balance Pakistan's traditional support for Iran with its emerging cooperation with Washington. This tightrope underscores Islamabad's broader diplomatic challenge as it tries to avoid alienating either Tehran or Washington. From a geopolitical perspective, Pakistan serves three key functions for US policy. Proximity to Iran. Islamabad can influence or at least inform US understanding of Tehran, especially in times of crisis. Then there is so-called counter-terrorism cooperation. Pakistan security forces have long been involved in countering groups like ISIS-K and other extremists along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, interests that partly overlap with Washington's security objectives. And regional balancing. As the US recalibrates its Middle East strategy vis-à-vis Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Gulf states, Pakistan's role as an Islamic republic, willing to engage with diverse regional players, makes it uniquely positioned for bridging diplomatic divides and therefore useful to the US. But the big question is this: how is Asim Munir going to walk the Gaza tightrope?